Hi, hello, and welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather. This is Miss Finn. And this video is all about my 5th week of treatment with Spravato. Spravato, or esketamine, is an FDA-approved treatment for treatment-resistant depression that's derived from part of the ketamine molecule. It is a dissociative anesthetic, meaning it causes dissociation, and I also have a dissociative disorder. So in this weekly series, I share my experiences and some tips and tricks that I learn along the way, and just my thoughts and overall progress as I undergo this treatment. I have an ongoing list of my tips and tricks for treatment, which I'll put up on the screen briefly for you to screenshot. In my week 3 video, I go in depth as to why each of these things are on the list, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. For those of you who are returning viewers, you'll notice I'm not in my usual space. I'm not at home. So we're just making do with what we have. Right out of the gate, I've got some big news. My depression score this week was 5. 5. Depression? Who's she? We don't know her. In case you don't recall, my score last week was 11. So what happened? Well, I don't know. What I do know is that it's pretty common for people to start really noticing a difference after their first month of treatment, which would put me right on schedule, or very average. I think it was around my 3rd treatment, or week 2, when my depression score went from 14 to 11, but it has stayed at 11 this whole rest of the month. But when I did the assessment before my last treatment, it was 5. I don't think I've ever been in the single digits on the PHQ-9. Now that I'm in my 2nd month of treatment, I'm only doing it once a week. So going forward, I won't have 2 experiences to share per video. However, I do have other things to share that pertain to how I'm feeling and my overall progress that I think are worth sharing. So after I talk about the treatment this week, I've got some other thoughts and experiences to share with you. Heather in the wild. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you like this new format I'm trying out. I know my other videos have focused almost exclusively on my experiences during treatment, so if you'd rather I stick to that, that's fine. Just let me know. But now let's talk about treatment number 9. For treatment number 9, I was with Alice, and we didn't space out the doses this time. It seemed like there was almost no time in between them, just one after the other. I mean, there was a few minutes, but far less time between them than I'm used to. But I did just fine with it. Wasn't too much, wasn't turbulent, wasn't blasting off into space. It was fine. As we were waiting for it to kick in, we started talking about ECT. In case you didn't know, ECT is still used to treat severe mental illnesses, including depression. It seems like it's pretty rare that it's used for depression, but it is used. Honestly, I was ready to try ECT if Spravato didn't work. She said that so far, her success rate with patients who did Spravato is 100%. And that even people who have done ECT and then do Spravato say that Spravato was better. But anyway, Alice was telling me that one of the side effects of ECT is memory loss. She said that some people can lose memories of their trauma, which that would be good. And other people lose memories of things like their children. Not so good. We just kind of talked about how strange it is that we can lose memories or lose access to them. There are some studies that suggest that we don't actually lose our memories, we just lose access to them, and that it could potentially be reversed. Anyway, I'm getting way out there now. The point is, we were talking about lost memories and suddenly getting access to them again. But it was around this point that the Spravato was really kicking in and I was no longer able to have a conversation. So I kicked back and Alice put on my breathing exercises and guided meditation, and I just got ready for the ride. Not surprisingly, I hit the sweet spot very quickly. For those of you who don't know, the sweet spot is what I call the ideal state for treatment. It feels very similar to when your alarm goes off in the morning and your bed has never been comfier and all you want to do is go back to sleep. So you hit the snooze button and just kind of doze off until your alarm goes off again. It's a good feeling. So I hit the sweet spot and didn't try to have any particular kind of experience. I just let whatever was going to come up, come up. At first, it looked like I was hurtling through space, like going through different galaxies and nebula or nebulae. What is the plural of nebula? I was going through space. Anyway, after blasting through space for a little while, I started to have these memories pop up of people and experiences that I've had that I have not thought of in well over a decade. I'm talking full names, their faces, things that we did together that I truly had forgotten about, just all started coming to the surface. I wondered where they were now and what they're doing and if they would remember me. And then I saw Fred Durst.
Right now I'm dangerous.
Pourquoi?
Take him to the Matthews Bridge.
Didn't spend too long with Fred Durst, though, before my brain pivoted to the thought that we need a remake of The Neverending Story with Timothée Chalamet as Atreyu. Sound off in the comments. Why does Timothée Chalamet keep appearing in my experiences? Oh my god, will you look at that face?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Breathing heavy.
I love her so much.
Okay, calm down, Dee.
By this point, it had been about 30 minutes, so it was time to take my blood pressure again, and that pulled me out of my Timothée Chalamet Neverending Story experience. After she was done, I settled back into my chair and thought about how great it would be to get a massage during treatment or immediately after. And then I thought about how great it would be to do a Spravato retreat, like check into some kind of inpatient program while you undergo this treatment. Like maybe wake up, do Spravato, and then have a nice healthy breakfast that's all ready for you. Maybe do some yoga, meditation, therapy, some journaling, and then go on a walk or go for a swim, do some social activities. Like, I wonder how great it would be to be able to totally unplug from the stresses of your life while you're doing this treatment. I know that's wildly unrealistic for most people because it's 3 months, but it would be nice, right? But I just kept laying there thinking about the various things you could do on this retreat. And after about another 30-45 minutes, I had to use the bathroom, of course. So I got up and did that. And when I came back, Alice was in the room again, and I was mostly back to normal. So instead of laying down, I sat up in the chair and just started talking to Alice. She asked me how I was feeling, and I told her wonderful, and that I wish I could always feel like this. And she just kind of laughed. And then she said, "Wouldn't it be nice if you could go to a Spravato retreat?" I was like, yeah, that's literally what I was just thinking about for the last 30 to 45 minutes. So we both laughed at that. Freaking weird though, right? That was pretty much it for treatment number 9. I was so happy that I got to have a treatment with Alice. I almost said her real name there. And even better, we're having unseasonably warm and nice weather. Still, in September. I wish it could be like this all the time. Why can't fall always be like this? This treatment was on a Saturday, so afterwards I went back to my boyfriend's place instead of mine to spend the weekend with him and to go to a little get-together we were invited to. that was a big deal. A huge sign that my depression symptoms really are improving. Though, not like I needed any more proof. I haven't been able to do something like that in years. Until now, I didn't realize just how much fatigue and anhedonia were impacting my ability to do things like that. I used to be exhausted at the idea of going and doing things like that. And not in a, oh, I don't really feel like it, but I'll go anyway. It'll be fine. I'll have a good time. I mean, like, I literally do not have it in me to do this. I cannot do this. It's the strangest thing. It just doesn't feel like a big deal anymore. And I even detected a hint of looking forward to it. Don't mind me, I'm just over here getting my life back. It is Saturday evening, and this is Heather and Finn in the wild. We are on our way to a little get-together, and this is a pretty big deal for me. I haven't been able to go and do something like this in years. It's just another one of those ways that I know that Spravato is working, because going out and doing this activity, which has been really impossible for me for the last few years, just doesn't feel like a big deal at all. It's kind of like in the same way cooking has been for me lately. The best way I can describe it is that with cooking for the last few years, the idea of cooking even just a small, normal meal for myself will feel to me like I'm trying to cook an entire Christmas dinner. And it's like, no thanks. Way too much work. Do not have that in me. And that's also how going to any kind of social get-together has felt for me for the last few years. Let you know how it goes. I think that it's also a sign that it's helping my anxiety and agoraphobia, which isn't really surprising because depression and anxiety often go hand in hand. I had a really good time at the get-together, even though I didn't know most of the people.
Fix it, Finn. Kiki, you want to come with you? Want to go for a ride? Something? Yeah, you do.
It's also the first time I've been sober to a social gathering in probably 15 years. It never even crossed my mind, like, oh, I wish I could drink right now, or this would be so much better if I could drink right now. I was just happy. Oh, something interesting happened that night. The house we were at was in the middle of nowhere. And because the weather was still really nice and it was still warm, we sat outside around a campfire once it got dark. And you could see all the stars in the sky. My favorite. My boyfriend and I were pointing out satellites as they went by. And we were talking about how there are so many Starlink satellites now that in my little night sky app, you can actually choose to turn off the Starlink satellite option, because otherwise that's just all you're going to see in the app. Oh, gotta readjust. My foot is falling asleep. So we're out there socializing and looking at the stars, and off in the distance between two trees, I saw just these lights going by, like really close together in a perfect line and pretty bright. At first I thought they might have been planes, but they were clearly way too close together to be planes. Finally, I asked everyone, hey, do you guys see that? So everyone turns and looks, and of course they're all like, whoa, like what the hell is this? Eventually they stopped, and we just kind of sat there like, okay, that was odd. And I was thinking to myself, that looks a lot like the Starlink satellites when they launch. After we got home, my boyfriend got on Facebook, and one of his friends had posted pictures of the lights saying, the Starlink satellites flew over us tonight. That's what we saw. It actually was a Starlink launch. Anyway, that was interesting. Totally unexpected. After we got home, we played GTA 5 for a bit and then went to bed. And I didn't have a bad dream that night. Still vivid, still weird. That was it for Saturday. Some of the things that I've realized over the last week, which some of these I've already kind of spoken about in the video, is just how much my depression has been holding me back for years. In particular, the cognitive dysfunction and fatigue symptoms, which until I did research for the depression video, I didn't know that fatigue could be mental. But it sure does explain a lot. In 1 month, I have managed to write, record, edit, and post 5 videos to this channel. That is huge for me. Just to put things in perspective, my first video, the one about the ACE study, took me 2 years to do. 2 years. And in 1 month, I've done 5. Before I started Spravato, I was really starting to believe that I was never going to be able to make videos again. I'd started to wonder if I'd actually lost my passion for it, and that's why I couldn't do it, and seriously considered never trying to make another video again. But it's back. And it didn't even take me a full month of Spravato. I started making these videos after week 1. Going into treatment, I was really hopeful that I was going to have some kind of meaningful improvement from it, but I never expected it to be this good or this quickly. I can hardly believe I can say this, but this is changing my life. I feel alive again. This treatment is life-changing and life-giving, and probably the greatest gift for anyone struggling with treatment-resistant depression. It really works. I should probably wrap this up before I get too emotional. So, if you liked this video or found it helpful in any way, please consider liking it. And don't forget to subscribe before you go if you want to keep receiving these updates from me. Also, in case you missed it, I did just post the video about depression, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments for me, please leave them in the comments, and I will respond to them. And with that, I hope you have a great week, and I'll be seeing you next week. Say goodbye, Finn. Okay, bye.